Welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. We're your hosts, Danny and Keely, your LGBTQ plus life coaches. As an LGBTQ plus adult, we know it can be complicated, but here's where we break it all down for you, and you can learn all about becoming your most authentic self so you can create really healthy relationships. Our goal from this podcast is to help you uncover all that makes you who you are and step into that future you. This podcast is your weekly check-in to focus on yourself and start taking actions towards the life and relationships you've always wanted.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you love this episode, make sure you leave a 5-star review or rating. We can't wait to hear from you. Now let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. We're back at it again in the studio, aka our office. We're super excited to be here with you today. If you're new listening to this podcast, my name's Keely. I'm one of your hosts, and here's Danny, your host as well.
Hello everyone.
I hope you're having an amazing, beautiful day. I'm so glad you took the time to just tune into this podcast. You pressed play, and you're here listening, and I hope that we don't disappoint with a great episode today. I want to paint the picture for you a little bit because I think sometimes it's nice to kind of get into it with us of where we are and what it looks like.
We forgot to do housekeeping.
Oh no. Okay, let me back up. I just wanted to start painting the picture. I just wanted you to escape with us.
To get into this episode.
I know. Okay, let's get into it. So let's talk a little bit about housekeeping, some things to know from the Coming Out Happy team here. So a couple things. First off, you're listening to this podcast. You found us. We have a podcast. It comes out every single Friday with new episodes that you can listen to and really dive into, ranging from becoming your most authentic self to healthy relationships to dating, everything LGBTQ+, and that's what we do. And then another thing is every single Monday on our Instagram, we go live, and we go live at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST. If you can't make it, we always usually post the recordings, so you can definitely check that out as well. And our Instagram is @ComingOutHappy. So those are some really great places to check in with us during the week and to focus on yourself. We always have fun things planned for you. If you're looking for more direct support, you love this podcast, and you just want more, and you want to figure out, okay, how can I really find the tools and resources to step into this future me? Danny and I have a signature program. It's called Pride Amplified, and it really helps you and takes you from not knowing who you are, feeling disconnected, to really stepping into your most authentic self so you can create really healthy relationships in your life, and it's so beautiful. So if you want to find out more about that, you can definitely send us a message on Instagram @ComingOutHappy, or you can click the link. Danny will link all of this here in the show notes, or DannyMaxCoaching.com. So enough of that. Let's get back into painting the picture. Danny, you want to paint the picture with me? Let's paint the picture of this morning. We're recording on a Friday right now, and we're sitting in our office, and I can see the flowers are blooming. They're really bright and pink. I'm looking at pink flowers. And I think sometimes why I like to do this is because it just really brings us, it helps us become more aware of the moment that we're in right now. I think so often we can be so distracted by 100 million different things. And so I want to just get into it. I want to have you really in a different space where you can just relax and be here with us. But the flowers, they're pink, and it's kind of breezy outside. We're in the midst of May gray right now in California, so it's a little gray, but it's just a calm morning. I can see the trees swaying back and forth. Danny, do you want to add to my picture here?
No, I'm loving listening to you.
Are you relaxed?
Absolutely. I'm about to go to sleep.
Oh, good. So we are just sitting here in our office, and it's so interesting. You know, Danny and I, we love working in our office together, but it turns out Danny has a desk that's facing kind of the front, towards the front of the office, and then my desk is behind her. But it turns out we're always sitting at my desk, just the two of us. And I keep telling her, I think my desk is too small for just the two of us, but we keep sitting together. But right now, yes, we're sitting at the same desk. So that's kind of what it looks like for us. But today I want to focus on really helping you know that it's okay to take a break and slow down when you feel like things are a little overwhelming. And I'm specifically referring to your dating life. Thinking back to my own dating life, I remember when I was just dating around and I started to get pretty burnt out. And some of the signs that told me that I was getting burnt out was I started to lose hope. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I was just dating around and I kept dating these people. Maybe we'd go on one date and I felt like it wasn't working out. Either the person was not a good fit for me and I was trying to make it work, or there really just wasn't any chemistry at all, and I would leave with that feeling of, ooh, that was awkward, and I just kind of wish I didn't even go on the date at all, that feeling. So I think when we start to feel these things of we're losing hope, we're feeling disappointed by the dates, and maybe it's a sign that we need to take a little break. I know that that can be an uncomfortable thing, especially if you feel the pressure of the world telling you to get into a relationship, to find someone, or you feel the loneliness, whatever that may be. But maybe it's a sign to just check in with yourself and, slow down a little bit from the dating world. Danny, do you remember when you were dating, what was it like for you? Did you feel burnt out?
I would say that I was burnt out constantly because all I was doing was swiping for hours and hours and hours, and it just felt like I didn't have enough time, even though I spent all my time doing it. So every single day I was exhausted because hours into the night I was looking for a potential girlfriend, and I was spending so much time doing it. It ended up affecting my mental health because all I was doing was focusing on that. I couldn't focus on anything else. All I was thinking about was like, will this person swipe back on me? What's going on? When's the next date that I have? It was my sole focus and priority that it genuinely affected every day.
Yeah. No, I can completely agree and add to that in the sense that, especially when you're on a dating app, if you're waiting for someone to swipe back, maybe you found someone that you're like, wow, I feel like they'd be a really good match just from looking at one picture. Of course, we all do that. And then you're just sitting around waiting, and especially if you're talking to a bunch of different people at a time, trying to navigate, okay, what does this look like? How's this person? It's a lot to keep up with. You're sharing parts of you, and they're sharing parts of them, and you're trying to understand, who they are, and it can be a lot. I just want to say that. But I remember specifically in my story, and maybe I've touched on this before in past episodes, but I remember, getting out of the shower and I would just sit in my towel because I was so distracted by waiting for messages, and then I'd respond, and then it would take me hours to get ready for the day because I was so caught up just trying to, focus on this dating app and who was going to respond. And I remember thinking, after probably a couple weeks went by, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep waiting around, wasting hours, like you had mentioned, for these people to reply to me because I can't, there's no thing that I can't control any of it. You know what I mean?
And it just leads to a lot of stress sometimes. If you're putting yourself out there every minute of the day, it's a stressful thing to have to do. And I definitely think it can affect your everyday life. There's just a lot that goes into dating, but certain parts of it definitely can lead to you being completely exhausted and needing to kind of take a step back. And it's totally okay. And I also want to say, a lot of what Keely and I talk about has nothing to do with actually dating. It more so has to do with yourself and taking care of yourself so that you can have these healthy relationships whenever the time is right. So these are like some of the few things that we noticed that happened in our past. It was just feeling too stressful. It felt like we were losing hope at some point, and we just really thought, okay, I don't think there's anybody who's really going to fit for me. Yeah. And it definitely affects how we live our life, and a lot of time it sucks, But I think another one to think about too is like when it's not fun anymore at all to be getting on the apps and talking to people, when it feels like a chore to be doing this, constantly meeting new people like you were talking about, and it's just not fun. You don't feel like you want to be doing it anymore, but you may feel this pressure to be doing it. I know this is something we talk about a lot in our program, Pride Amplified, where people feel like they have to be putting themselves out there to date because they feel like they don't have a lot of time left, because of a lot of people that we work with are in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they want their life back. They want their time back. And there's never really like the right time to be doing this. But if it doesn't feel fun, if it doesn't feel light and exciting, I think it's time to take a step back, and that's totally 100% okay.
Yeah, and I can just even relate this in so many other areas of your life too, and same for us. When we aren't completely putting so much pressure on one thing for it to work, putting your eggs in one basket, you could say, we notice that things just don't flow as much when you have that extra pressure. So when you take a step back and maybe you do take, a week or two off and you just focus on yourself, see what comes to you. Maybe you want something different. Maybe you start thinking about, different things and what you actually want. Maybe you've only been focusing on dating for so long and that's the only thing that's been on your mind, but maybe there's something else that needs your attention. I think that's huge too. Have you ever thought about that?
And it could be you. What else would you say needs attention?
I mean, it could be anything. It could be you needing to focus on maybe a new opportunity, a new door that could be opening for you. I think it all really goes back to you, but it could be different aspects of your life. Maybe there is a door that you haven't been looking at that you could kind of get into, or maybe there is a hobby that you've neglected for a while and it's something that you really enjoy and that's where you find happiness. Could be things like that. But when we're so caught up in, oh my gosh, I'm focused on this one thing and there's so much pressure and stress, things don't flow. You could write that down. Things don't flow when we're under constant pressure and stress. They just don't. And I wish that they did. I wish that things flowed all the time. But I noticed that my best work, my most creative ideas, my healing, my self-care, it comes when I, really take a step back from things that I've been spending a lot of time on. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like to you to take a step back and to start focusing on? Do you feel like things flow for you? Do you have an example of something that has popped up in your life where you've taken a step back and you've seen something else happen for you?
I mean, it happens in our work all the time.
Yeah.
When we are completely working just way too much and it feels like nothing's working, until we take a step back and take a break just so we can kind of think clearly. That's when everything starts to work and make sense. But it goes back to dating too. It's kind of the same thing. When we're overly stressed and overly worked and putting all of our focus into this, it can be extremely stressful and overwhelming and it feels like nothing's working. And then it just kind of hurts ourselves instead of having everything just kind of work out how it's supposed to.
It's just a bad state of mind.
It definitely can be. Not, it doesn't happen all the time with dating, but a lot of people that we work with, they do put a lot of pressure on dating, and we see them overly focusing on this part of their life.
But I think too, and I want to touch on what you just said, what happens when you do put that pressure on is it typically leads to you dating people that maybe aren't the best fit. And the reason I say that is because you're just waiting for anything to pop up because you've been waiting and you want this to work. So if there's something, that you like about this person and then there's a whole other lot of things that you don't like about this person, I think that what we do is we try to make all of the things that we like overpower the bad. And we'll just try to make this person work, and that's why a lot of relationships, they won't work out, because in the beginning we weren't clear, have that mindset of, okay, I'm going in with a fresh mindset, it's no pressure, it's going to be something that I'm really open to, and it's okay if it doesn't work. That's what happens usually. That's what I've seen it in my own life, where I've just wanted somebody so badly that I'm like, okay, I guess this will work, and then it just didn't. It was not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a part of every single thing that we talk about, too. It's just the pressure and the expectations and then settling for less than we deserve because of that. And that part isn't fun, but this is what we're here to teach. This is what we're here to show you so you can kind of understand some of the signs in your life that it may be time to just kind of take a step back and focus on yourself for a little bit. Focus on, whatever it is that you want to focus on, because it all is connected at the end of the day. And just because you're working harder, making all those swipes, doesn't mean you're any closer to finding that person. I just want to put that out there. I know it sounds funny because it's like, well, maybe I need a swipe after 1,000 swipes. I'll find that person. But
yeah,
to us, it's like, it's right timing. It's getting ourselves right. I mean, something we talk about a lot is we can meet someone, but we lose them as fast as we find them because of how we're dealing with ourselves. If we're not taking care of ourselves first, it's so easy to lose the people that we want to kind of have in our life.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for today.
No, I love that. I think it's so true. It's a simple message, but it's also kind of complicated at the same time. And we understand that because we've been there. But just looking at these signs, looking at how you can apply it in your own life, I think is really huge. And of course, if you feel like there's some blocks that are in the way and you want more support, that's what Danny and I are here for. That's what we can guide you towards really understanding who you are through Pride Amplified, our program, watching people go through it right now and seeing the transformation from month 1 to month 2 to month 3, all of these months and everything that they're doing to put in the work on themselves. They see that they're attracting a different kind of person already into their life, the quality of the person, how they feel about themselves, the thoughts that they used to have that were so intrusive about having to find someone feeling lonely to where they are now really feeling more confident that they have a grip on it and that they can go out there when they feel like it's the time for them. So I think this is huge. This is key. And I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. Of course, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we really appreciate the reviews, the ratings, anything that you'd like to put out there. We would love to hear from you. If you want to send us a message on Instagram to learn more about how we can support you and what that could look like, please do at Coming Out Happy. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast today, and we'll see you all very soon.